Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Hemi Hustlers YouTube channel. We are currently here at the Hemi Hustlers Proving Grounds, which is the entire state of Arizona. Right here, I have Blacklyn, and unfortunately, she's been running not so good. She's been overheating, to say the least. And if you're a Mopar owner, a Gen 3 Hemi owner, then you know how hard it is to get a 180 thermostat that actually works. Well, you know what? I think we may have found the solution right here in this box. Check it out. So I hit up 797 Performance on Instagram. I just so happened to see like a reel that they made about this product. And I hit them up and I ordered all of them and stuff. Well, here, look at this. Something so simple, yet theoretically should be effective. These pieces here, or one of these is going to replace the thermostat that we currently have. So we're gonna eliminate the thermostat completely and install one of these here. Now, in theory, there will be no thermostat and the car should run a lot cooler based on many reviews that I have seen and the owner himself telling me they've done a lot of research and development on this product and it works flawlessly. So on top of that, I have here in this box, a set of brushless, improved design radiator fans that flow over 2,000 CFM per fan, which is a superior upgrade to what's currently in Blacklyn now. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on this and hopefully we can knock this out relatively quickly so we can get on the road and actually see if this product works. Now you may be asking yourself, what's the difference between this and the thermostat? I'll show you guys. So this is a Motorrad thermostat. You'll see the brand name right there. Now, I've gotten the ones from O'Reilly's, the Murray, which is a rebranded Motorrad. I've gotten the HHP Racing, which is a Motorrad. And I've also used the Mishimoto, and it has failed as well. However, so this goes in there, right? Turn on my light so you guys can see. In this hole. Now, the kit from 797 Performance comes with 3 different diameter sizes, internal diameter sizes. Maximum flow, medium flow, and minimum flow. Minimum flow, right? Now, this pretty much replaces this valve here, this thermostat. So instead of hoping that this valve opens and closes, this will always be flowing at all times. And it still has your air purge hole here. So this installs the exact same way your thermostat does. This hole in your 12 o'clock position, just like this. Line her on up, bam, just like that. It's literally just as easy as that. So I've been looking for this flashlight forever, and it turns out the owner of this car stole it. It was in his trunk. All right, so we got the thermostat on. The new fans are on. These fans have brushless motors. Oh, actually, look, you can see them right there. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, but that's kind of like iffy. You don't want to get these wet at all. And now, if you don't have a dual fan already, you're going to need a harness extension, like a jumper harness. But since this car factory comes with a dual harness, you can take the harness off of the old fans, put it on this new fan, and it should it should plug right into the fan that you're installing, this dormant piece. And then you're gonna need some zip ties to reroute it. We're getting there. Oh yeah. Let's turn on this AC, baby. Coolant is 113. Blowing nicely. Oh yeah, she's blowing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is day 2 here with Blacklyn. And our modification yesterday didn't solve our problem, or at least the middle one. Because remember, there's 3 different sizes. I chose the middle one to start with. And the car definitely takes longer to overheat. So I know it's working to some extent, but there could just be not enough flow. Now, I'm gonna install this big one. And if this big one doesn't solve our issue, then we for sure need to upgrade the radiator. The radiator that's currently in Blacklyn is the stock 2008 Dodge Charger SRT8 radiator. So it could be plugged up in there. It could be gunky. It could be nasty. It's not flowing the way it's supposed to. I mean, more than likely, we're probably gonna upgrade to a Mishimoto radiator anyways, regardless if this does fix our problem. But, you know, this is way cheaper than throwing, get off of me, bee. There's a bee trying to attack me right now. Yeah, so just process of elimination before we go ordering that $700 radiator, right? And let's knock this out real quick. Let's knock this out. So yesterday, as you guys remember, I installed the black one, right? The medium-sized hole and the fan. And we took it for a drive, and just idling, it did way better. Like way better. It took forever. Took a lot longer to heat up, which is good, because before it would like, bam, right? Which means that thermostat was not opening, or it was getting stuck a certain way. Wasn't allowing the flow that we needed. So I'm gonna go ahead and pretty much do what I did yesterday. Pick the car up, drain the coolant. Oh, by the way, I have a lot of friends today. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Damn, these things are not surviving real good. I'm gonna drain the coolant, take that pupper out right there. We're gonna install the Fatty McGee here. Ooh. And bleed the cooling system. As you can see, it did have an air pocket in it because it went down. Although that's not, I doubt that's the reason why it's running a little hotter than it should. I just don't think we have the proper flow from this radiator. But I'm gonna start with this, see where that takes us. And if it doesn't take us far, then we're gonna go ahead and order up this Mishimoto radiator, which is not hard to do. Just gotta remove the whole front clip, raise the car up. A lot of other things, but anyways, let's get started on this. This should be exciting. We should have it done here shortly, within the hour. Now, how do you tell you have a plugged up radiator? Well, there's gonna be obvious signs. You see how this is the thermostat that was in it. See how it's all nasty and kind of rusty and kind of crusty? You can even see stuff. Yeah, all that. Well, that's from inside the radiator. Look, I'm gonna pull back the, right here, watch, I'm gonna pull this back. See all that gunk? That's what's inside the radiator. That's what's inside the cooling system. And I mean, it's kind of expected when you have a vehicle this old that it's gonna be nasty, especially if you don't have a good, especially if the block doesn't have a good ground strap or a good ground to going to the block in general, or going to the radiator. Then yes, you know, that just accelerates the process tremendously. But hey, one step at a time. That's what we're here to do, one step at a time. All right, guys, so this escalated quickly. As you can see, I put the bigger thermostat in there, I guess. And then I was pouring in the coolant, and I just realized that there's a lot of gunk in this radiator based on how much was in the bucket. So we're just gonna go ahead and swap the radiator before we even try to even test drive it. And while we're in here, we noticed that somebody forgot to install 2 bolts on this side, which leaves this super loose. And another 2 bolts on this side. So hopes and dreams was really holding on the front center support section here. And I think someone took this off to remove this engine at some point, but it's unnecessary to take this off to remove this engine. It's easier if you take off the windshield wiper cowl plastic to then pull it straight up, for your information. Funniest thing just happened. My client was helping me remove the radiator from the bottom. He's on this side, right? And the lower radiator hose outlets right here, and he got soaked with coolant. it was an awesome experience to watch because it's always good when people get soaked with coolant for the first time. That's that mechanic life, you know. Sometimes you're gonna get soaked with fluid that you hate. Well, we got the oil radiator out. I can almost guarantee you this baby is disgusting internally because look at the fins. These are the size of the fins, right? Sorry, the rows of coolant going through there, they're tiny. So it can easily get clogged up. But yeah, we got parts on order. So, some hidden news that I forgot to film. Blacklyn now has a brand new radiator from Mopar. Brand new upper radiator hose. The hole, so I had installed the biggest one and it still wasn't enough. So I reamed out this hole significantly bigger, probably up until like right there. And installed it, and she ran way cooler. I'm seeing more progress, but it's still not enough. So I'm gonna take this one home and open it way more than I opened that one. And then we're gonna come back and retry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are back here with the Blacklyn build for the 100th time. Keep in mind, this gentleman lives about an hour and a half away from me, so, you know, this better be the last time, you stinking thermostat. You better work. So remember, this is the biggest one provided in the kit by 797 Performance. We installed this. It did not work for us in this beautiful Phoenix weather, right? It's blazing hot out here, 110 degrees. This did, you know, allow it to run cooler, but it was still not enough. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to bore it out. So I bored it out. This is one of these. Just made this hole bigger with my step bit. And tried this, and it ran cooler. My results are, well, first, let's look at this. Oh, let me just look. It ran cooler, great, until you turn the AC on, then that needle starts to scare you, right? I'm like, it's not enough flow. Still not enough flow. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bore this out crazy. So I went home, got my step bit, and unfortunately, I don't have a burr or nothing to beautifully make this round. So I used my step bit to just keep going until it was bigger, and then I drilled my own bleed hole. Now, let's just compare sizes, internal diameters. Brought my little gauge here. Zeroed out. Perfect. So, I'm going to measure this right quick. So we have, this is about an inch, right? Put that on a little better. Let's say it's about an inch. That's 1 inch. So the one I bored it to, the second one that I bored it to, is 1 1/4. Dang, I'm pretty good. 1 1/4. Okay. That was not enough. So I'm like, you know what? We're going big boy. Go big or go home. A little bit more than 1.5 inch. Now, I was talking to the owner at 797 Performance and the research and development team over there, and they were telling me that this is equivalent to a 180 thermostat, but I don't know about that, guys, because check this out. This is the 180 thermostat, right? If you measure this, right, we're going to measure the internal diameter of here, which is where the coolant flows once the valve opens. We're at 1.5 inches. So realistically, I can see why all the ones we've been using don't even compare to the 180 yet, because all these are way smaller than 1.5 inches. So this inch is not working for us. This 1 1/4 is not working for us. So now this is 1.5 inches. I made this 1.5 inches, and we're gonna see what happens. All right, I'm gonna slap this baby in, and we're gonna see. I mean, theoretically, it should work better than the other one I made larger, because look at the size difference. It's way bigger, right? It's actually 1.5 inches, which is the same size as the thermostat here. So now it should run cooler with the AC off, which it already did with this one, but we need it to run cool with the AC on because it's Phoenix, Arizona. It's blazing hot out, and we need this baby to run as cool as possible. I mean, look at this. I'm drenched in sweat right now, but it's okay because for the love of Blacklyn, we are here. And it's really as easy as 1, 2, 3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a successfully failed mission once again. So let's recap. We installed the biggest one the kit provided, did not work. We opened up the hole. as big as we could while still keeping the air bleed screw. Worked better, did not work enough. So then the one in there is bored out to 1.5 inch, 1.6 to be exact, which is about the same size as this, right? And it runs good, everything runs great until you turn on the AC. That's when she does not like it. She starts to run a little hot. And the fans work, right? So what happens when the AC turns on? The only thing that really changes is now the AC compressor is on, right? The clutch is engaged. So now the engine has a little bit more parasitic drag, but this is a 7.0 liter, right? It shouldn't, I mean, how much can it drag it down? So it got me thinking, right? I'm like, well, this is a cheap Chinese Dorman reservoir. I'm like, could we have a bad reservoir? Could we have, this is a cheap O'Reilly's water pump. Could we potentially have a water pump where the casting when it was made is just not big enough, right? The holes inside the water pump just aren't big enough to flow. Or maybe the impeller pulley is spinning on the inside of the shaft since it's a press on, and it's not allowing it to flow. I don't know. The point is, we've eliminated so many factors out, right? The radiator, the fans, the thermostat. All that's really left is the coolant reservoir and the water pump. So tomorrow, I'm gonna come back with the coolant reservoir. We're gonna swap that out. We're gonna leave the same 1.5 inch bore in there because I wanna see what it does just with the reservoir. So I'm gonna replace the reservoir with a Mopar original reservoir and see what that does. I'm also going to open this one up to 1 3/4 inch, which would be the next step up from my 1.5 inch, 1 3/4 inch. It's probably gonna end up way about right here. And just in case that doesn't work, right, well, then I'm going to that. But the water pump, so the outlet hole, it's like this big where it shoots out from the water pump and goes this way. I'm gonna order an O'Reilly's one and one from the dealer and just do a side-by-side comparison just to see if there's potentially any difference in internal size. Maybe there's some defectiveness in the casting itself, right? Maybe it works for the 5.7 but not the 6.1, considering it's the same exact everything right here, right? So yeah, I definitely have my homework cut out for me, but all right, we failed today, but we're gonna get that W for sure. We made a big old coolant mess right here, and it's just ugh. Blacklyn, still love you though. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are back here again with Blacklyn. I don't know if you can hear the tone of my voice has changed. I'm no longer as excited. Nah, I'm joking with you guys. I'm actually super pumped to be here because we're still trying to figure out this mystery overheating issue when the AC is turned on. Now, what have we done? We've replaced the radiator, the fans. We've installed thermostat modifications. I mean, I got the original water pump over there. I'm gonna install a brand new Mopar water pump. I'm gonna install a brand new Mopar reservoir. But aside from all that, this is what I believe is going to solve this problem. So if you see here, right, this is the gap between the fan and the radiator. That is not good, right? Now, this is a seal that sits on top like so, right? And it's supposed to cover the gap here and also cover the gap right there in between the fan and the radiator. However, if you see, it's damaged. It has this little rubber lip on this side, but this rubber lip on this side, which is supposed to cover the gap, is missing. Now, why is this so critical? Well, it's critical because we want air to move through the front, right? So when the AC is on, the condenser is putting in work, it's hot, right? So we want air to move from the front of the vehicle towards the rear, like so, right? As if you were driving, but it's when you're stationary. Now, if we have this massive gap right here, the air, when the fan is on and it's pulling a vacuum, it's not gonna be sucking it from the front because of this massive gap. It's gonna be sucking it in from this gap here, all the way down there, all the way at the bottom. That gap that goes all the way around the radiator, that's where it's sucking the air from. So that air is just under engine bay temperatures, right? It's just like recycling that same air. It's pulling it in like so, into there and back out that way, like this. Instead of coming in fresh and going in. It's not doing that. It's not pulling it from the front because we have a vacuum leak here. So it's pulling it from the sides, which means we have no flow here. We have nothing cooling down the condenser, the radiator, aside from when you're actually driving. So what happened to the right here? So this piece, I'm gonna replace this, and the one in the bottom is missing. So I'm gonna install these top and bottom, but I'm also they also have these side seals which are discontinued. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to Ace Hardware and find me like a window seal, those thick rubber foam window seals, and put that on the side, and then put that on the top and bottom, the plastics, and that should have us 100% sealed up all around, so the air can, by no other choice, flow through the front of this. However, I should have thought of this when I had it all down, because now, as you can see, I have it all apart once again, and I'm about to drop the radiator and the fan assembly here once again to get this all apart and get it all handled, because there's no way, like, you know, this didn't overheat from the factory with the AC on, so I know this can run with the AC on and not overheat. It just needs to be proper, right? The cooling system needs to be proper, and currently it's not proper, and we're getting there. Okay, so it is a pain in the butt. This is my 100th time here working on Blacklyn, very far from my house, but I love it. Let's keep going, and we're not stopping here, right? We're not stopping until this car is running cool, calm, and collected. Let's get it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, check this out. This is what I'm referring to by the gap all around the fan. So we installed this fan, right? And you see this gap here? Goes all the way around. That gap, I think that gap there is the reason why the car overheats when the AC is on. So when these fans turn on, right, it's meant to pull their fans, right? It pulls air through the front, both of them. And that's net, well, see, these plastic pieces are required here because these seal up this gap, right? That's the point of this, to seal up this gap, so that way there's no gap. And it's gonna seal up the gap at the bottom. So when these fans are pulling, assuming all this is sealed, it's gonna pull from the front of the radiator to the back, right, towards the engine. But if there's a gap here, it's gonna be pulling in from all the gaps instead.
Enter.
Radiator. You already messed up. All right, so here's an update on the Blacklyn, right? These seals, we got these seals. As you can see, it covers up this gap that we had here very beautifully. Also, you know, the owner engineered this genius seal here. Now this is gonna seal up the sides, so that way no air enters through here, and it's pulling everything through the front. And we also have the seal at the very bottom as well. Now, I have high hopes this is gonna solve our overheating mystery. All right, so this is how it looks with everything assembled. So we have these, what I would call like an air redirector, right? So these, as the air is coming forward, it redirects the air, hits this, and then directs it this way. These are the seals that we installed here. If these weren't here, the air would just be passing straight through, and it would be sucking air from the sides. So that's kind of how it looks. I have to show you guys what it looks like underneath, so you can see our foam padding. But it looks excellent. I really have a lot of faith. And we installed this, the biggest one that comes in the kit. I want to downsize so I can see what it does now that we have a properly functioning radiator fan setup. But if that doesn't work, well, I still have my other ones here. Hey guys, so unfortunately, I'm gonna have to end that video there. As we were working on Blacklyn, she acquired a weird whining noise, and at first I was like, oh, it's probably just, you know, we probably have like a very minor hairline fracture on one of the power steering lines or something along the lines of that, because it wouldn't do it it would do it every so often. And keep in mind, during these test drives, I'm not flooring it, we're just driving. We're just normal driving to make sure she's not going to overheat. We're not going far, doing laps around the block, whatnot. And, you know, she just started whining. It just started sounding weird. And then before you know it, it clicked in my head. I'm like, you know what? This transmission's on the way out. And lo and behold, yeah, the transmission took a crap on us in the Blacklyn. Now, keep in mind, it does have 160,000 miles, original trans, I would only assume. So, you know, it's been through the ringer. It was definitely overdue for a trans. It was just an unfortunate time because the transmissions are so expensive. And we don't want to install a stock replacement. We want to go with a built NAG 1 from Simple Speed and Performance. They seem to be doing a pretty good job with the NAG 1 5 speeds. So therefore, we're going to go ahead and go that route. It's unfortunate, you know, we still have to figure out this little overheating issue, which I believe is an air pocket that is stuck right where the coolant temperature sensor at. There's a peak on the block that's shaped like this. There has to be a little air pocket right there. So I'm going to have to take out the coolant temp sensor and bleed it like that, right? Let the air pocket leave there, and then we should be all good to go. And I think I have an O'Reilly's coolant temp sensor on there, so I'm going to go ahead and put an OEM Mopar one and see what that does for us. Maybe that does something. But regardless, you know, it's not the radiator, it's not the fan, it's no longer the thermostat plate, it's not the heads because it's brand new build. It's like the only thing I can think of is it has to be an air pocket stuck in the cooling system. Because when I first built Blacklyn, on all the test drives, on all the testing and tuning I did, it was great. Like, it ran perfectly fine. And there was no overheating ever. And all of a sudden, she just, you know, she doesn't want to play nice. So, but that's it for this video. It's unfortunate, but regardless, I hope you guys learned something. And I hope you can take some of these tips or tricks and use them for your own Mopar. Because those side seals on the radiator, they're discontinued. So you can't buy them at the dealer. So, I mean, you can take the trick that I just did with the window seals and put the foam padding there and all those really good information that's going to help increase the speed of air flowing through the front cooling pack, right? The condenser, all that's going to bring your pressures down on your AC, everything. It's just very beneficial overall if you don't have those side seals, right? So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for the next video because Blacklyn's not done. Now we need a transmission, and I'm gonna document all that as well. We just need to save a little bit of funds. My client just needs to save a little funds because race cars are expensive, right? Don't ever think that you can build a race car for cheap. It's really not cheap at all, especially when you're like 500 horsepower plus. If you're en route to make 800 to 1,000 horsepower, it's gonna be very expensive. You know, you can expect to upgrade everything. So with that, guys, peace.